Oh, okay. What is going on, everybody? Me and Riddell again. It's that time of the week. We're back with our One Piece reviews. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We actually did a live of the chapter, so go ahead and check that out. You get our live reaction to this crazy chapter. Rox is in the chapter. You get to see how we look live. But we're going to just hammer down some very specific points of the chapter and just kind of go in detail, share theories, bounce thoughts, and kind of come to a conclusion on what's going on in the chapter this week. So I think there's a lot to talk about. Of course, check out all of our links, join the Discord, be a part of the conversation. Members only, Patreon. We got hella content to watch. We're doing a bunch of different stuff. I don't know if this is going to go out today, but if it does, Anime and Chill tonight with Lonnie. They're watching Don. I shouted them out. They got to praise me for that. And let's get right into it. Where do you want to start? You want to just go rocks off the rip? What you want to do?
Yeah, let's talk about the thing that everybody wants to talk about right off rip. The reveal of Blackbeard's daddy, Rox D. Zebek. I did not expect to see this at all, for sure. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger so soon, but we talked about it in the reaction. I'm okay with it because for the most part, you're not treating your viewers, you're not treating your fans as stupid, because a lot of people have been rising and he needed to show his face for whatever he plans to do. So it's like, he looks like Blackbeard. Your theories were correct. There's a reason why Blackbeard is kind of doing similar things with Rox. They're related. Now, what does that mean? We could talk about that.
And you kind of swayed my opinion on that. So during our live, I was kind of saying I felt like it was cheap to just throw Father of Emperor Blackbeard there. I feel like they could have built it up to a grander moment. But that kind of makes sense what Riddell was saying. People were either theorizing Buggy or Blackbeard. Oda confirmed it for us. No more speculation. We can go on from there. And what's brilliant about Oda to me, he kind of didn't confirm it because he let us know this is Blackbeard's dad for sure. But Rox has those streaks in his hair. So it could be like Buggy's still his son too. Oda always part of the agenda, always having fun. What's your first impressions of Rox?
He looks dope. He has done a great design. I'm gonna be honest. Oda's been killing it with some of these designs for these new characters. Like, I really like Rox's design. I really like Harold's design, especially when he grew up with the horns. And I really like Loki's design too. So he's been killing it with the designs. So I'm there for him. He looks like a badass. He got that smile. He honestly, he looks like a badass version of Blackbeard. I'm just keeping it a buck. He does. He doesn't look like he looks like he's built. It looks strong. The thing I'm curious most about though is that his relationship with the people around him now, because they say in this chapter, this is him before he became the captain.
Future captain, yes. So it's like Whitebeard's his Zoro, Stussy's his Nami, and Shiki is his Sanji. They're like the first to join the crew before it's a crew. Why though?
That's the question. Like, what could he provide for someone, especially Whitebeard, because of how great we know Whitebeard can become? We don't even know if Whitebeard is a fruit right now, so we don't even know when he gets it eventually. Ooh. So what is Rox? Is Rox as simple as Whitebeard's Roger, Zoro's Luffy? Is that what he is? Or is there something else going on here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So before I get into some more theory stuff, because we're gonna swing into Reverie because of something that you said. What stood out to me outside of his strikingly similar face and the hair, he has that mark across his face. If you look at his left eye, I'll show it briefly. Look at the left side of his face real quick. Harold has that same exact streak going across his eye. And I think at some point Harold might even have two. And it's not enough for me. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that's like a stylistic choice to have that streak kind of go against their eyes. And it's also over their left eye, both of them over their left eye. I'm wondering how much more to this guy is there? Does he have the same irregular body as Blackbeard? Because he just seems like he's a big dude, but he's not fat, but like by any margin, he's ripped. So he's not fat like Blackbeard. They do the kind of similar eye thing where one eye is large, one eye is small. But who is this guy? He's a very enigmatic figure. And now that we got his face, I just want to know even more who he was. To get into the deeper lore, and this is just a question I'm going to ask you. Why was he allowed to go to Reverie? Why was he there?
You're talking about Rocks?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Why was he? That is a good, interesting question. I mean, the easiest thing to say here is that he wasn't allowed to go to Reverie and he just crashed it. That's like
Sure.
the easiest way to say. To be fair, because Harold snuck in somehow without anybody knowing who he is. So suffice it to say, maybe Rocks has interesting connections as well that got him into Reverie. We don't even know. The interesting part about all this stuff is that like everything that we have learned about Rocks is so inconclusive. He obviously had a goal. He obviously was a threat to the government to the point where they had to get Garp and Roger to team up to take him out. But it's hard to say if he was just outright evil. That's the thing about Rocks right now. Because of all people, Whitebeard followed him. And I think we all agree that Whitebeard is not a bad person. So what is going on? What is Rock's goal? Could it be as simple as like he was kind of like Dragon? He was just anti-government? I don't know. Rocks is an interesting one for sure.
So he killed the Admiral. He goes to the Reverie. There's an incident that happens. They kind of downplay it when they first talk about it. When they bring it up later, he killed a Marine admiral. So, and not to treat you guys stupid, picture if Whitebeard killed a Kainu at Marine Ford. That's crazy.
I'm trying to think of like all the admirals we've seen, and we're kind of guessing that this. What in the chapter did they say this happened a month ago or something?
Let's see.
Because Harold and Jarul were talking about it, about Reverie. I don't remember if they told us a time frame of when this happened, but they're talking about it now, so it had to be relatively recent.
So as of his appearance, and so I'm assuming when they were talking about it, it might have been very recent. I don't think it points to a time. It does, but in order for us to kind of do it, we would have to we'd have to do the math ourselves. I'll do that on my own and I'll figure it out. But we'd have to do some math to figure it out. But between the time of like Harold doing all his journeying and coming back, I would say maybe a year at most. And then at the time of him appearing before Loki, that was 8 years after he killed the Admiral. So he killed the Admiral. He's been on the run for 8 years. They haven't been able to get him. Maybe that's why he formed the crew.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Why they would team up with him is still another question, though. I mean, what makes this the most impressive is he did this before really being a captain first. Yeah. He didn't have a crew, technically. That's even if he recruited afterwards, that means he did the solo dolo, and then somehow was able to escape. And the way that Harold kind of phrased it, he called it a murder. And you don't really, I feel like you wouldn't say murder unless it was he just cooked him.
Yeah, it's a very interesting word because you wouldn't use murder if two people fought.
Yeah,
and they died. I mean, in law you would, but you get what I'm saying. Murder, maybe he snuck them. We don't know.
Hey, okay, so you made this theory in our reaction that Rocks might have Buggy's fruit.
Yes.
where he can chop his own body and he could chop things in general. It's possible that this man did just sneak him and just cut him in half and then ran away. It's just, that's a strong possibility. He was like, snap, dip. Kind of like the idea of like when Law did that to
Virgo.
like Virgo. He just showed up, cut him, and in the reality, like if they fought seriously without Law's special ability, Virgo would have beaten Law's ass. But because he had that ability, he was able to cut him and run.
Yeah, that was crazy. Man. Very enigmatic figure. Ty always says this: God Valley's the answer. We need this arc. That arc is going to be more important than ever. It's not going to be an arc flashback, maybe. That's going to be important.
I'm not gonna lie. Jujutsu Kaisen did this where they kept on hyping the fucking Heian arc and just never gave us anything about it. I still hate that, by the way, and nobody can tell me that was a good decision. Nobody. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They got it. They can't do the Jujutsu Kaisen. They have to give up something. It doesn't need to be an arc, but it needs to be something of substance.
Address it, yeah, and just let us know all the events, pretty much.
Exactly.
Arc. Yeah. Interesting cast, man. Cheeky, Stussy, Whitebeard. Ooh, he must have been something. But I see where Whitebeard gets his drip though. Blackbeard gets his drip though for sure. He got the earrings. He got the cut like him. Wow, crazy ass reveal. And then for the people at home, I'm gonna see if I can zoom in just to show you why I think he has the fruit. Let's see if it'll let me get that particular corner. No, probably not. It'll be real quick. I'll show y'all. Yo, look top right. This little mountain is just clipped. I'm thinking that might be the chop fruit. He probably awakened it. To me, if you're killing an app, I don't usually glaze characters other than Kainu, but I'm gonna glaze rocks real quick. I'm assuming offer it, conquers, high level armament, awakened fruit. He gets the works. Nothing less for someone to kill the admiral. I don't care if it's a murder. He has it all, as far as I'm concerned, until proven otherwise. My thing about my overall thing, Riddell, and we're gonna be talking about rocks probably for a little bit. It recontextualizes a lot of things in the story because it now we get this idea of inherited will being so important in One Piece. Blackbeard's will sought out, or excuse me, Rox's will sought out Roger's will, even through their sons. Blackbeard kills him. It's more significant than that. Whitebeard, his greatest rival son, his former captain's son. It just changes how a lot of these events kind of play out. Because there's way more meaning. Roger could have got the idea of giving your child, and this is a reach, but with Roger doing the Portgas thing with Ace and Ace taking that last name, he could have got that from Rocks. Blackbeard's last name is Marshall. He could have similar idea there. It makes way for so many different theories to kind of be made while kind of answering others.
I'm here with you. I just thought about another thing. If with everything, with all the connections that we're trying to make, even the Buggy connection and what all these characters are providing for the series, one weird thing about it when it comes to Rocks and Blackbeard, though, is you would assume that Blackbeard. Okay, I'm gonna just ask you as a question: why would Blackbeard go after the Darkness fruit if his father had Buggy's fruit? And I feel like he would also make it an emphasis at some point to go after Buggy to take his fruit.
I'm going to answer your question just with uncertainty. How do we know if Blackbeard knows that Rox is his dad?
Obviously there's no evidence to this. I have to assume that Whitebeard would unless there's something that he just doesn't want Blackbeard to know about Rocks. But I would have to assume everything that Blackbeard is doing is in relation to what Rocks has done.
maybe or like inspired by him. It could be a deal of like Blackbeard knows, but he doesn't fully know. Like he knows that's his dad, but he doesn't know to what extent or like what he did. But the going explanation right now for him getting that fruit is he read about it in the encyclopedia, and that's the one that stuck out to him. And so that's the one that he went after.
I mean, I guess it could be as simple as that, but that fruit ended up way more broken than just reading it on a paper, on a book. So, we'll see with all this stuff. And then there's also the idea that what if they're saying that it's his son, but there's a part of Rocks that is technically in Blackbeard.
I agree with you. Going back to when Zoro addressed Blackbeard as them, that like there's more than one person there. Maybe a part of Rocks lives on or something like that. It could explain why he doesn't sleep. They might just switch. Who knows? But I'm wondering, to go with that, Riddell, if this is like a race thing, like our race of people that's just built into our genetics, where there's two people embodying one spirit, or we can like body hop or something like that. I wonder if Rocks had the same thing going like as Blackbeard going, the irregular body, two spirits thing or whatever.
I feel like last thing about this, it's possible that Blackbeard killing Whitebeard was also revenge because Whitebeard betrayed Rocks in the final valley and the conflict against Roger and Garp.
Me and Ty actually spoke about that through text. We were saying, like, what if it was one of those things where it's like Riddell, you're beating Lonnie's ass, and then I'm with Lonnie, and then Ty is with you, and while you're beating the shit out of Lonnie, Lonnie's looking at me, and I'm like, yo, I'm out, man. Maybe Whitebeard just left. When they got there, Whitebeard literally says, we're here to complete a mission, but we know Rocks is going to get caught up and lost somehow. Maybe Whitebeard got tired of that shit. I'm out. Mission complete. I'm gone.
But then he took in his son. So there has to be something a little bit more deliberate, I feel like, that Whitebeard did, and that he felt regretful for.
Platone, yeah. Timeline-wise, during God Valley, Blackbeard's 2. So.
Left his father. Hey, I didn't expect us to be. Now I'm kind of upset that Whitebeard's dead, because I feel like his story would still be very interesting right now.
It'll be important.
It'll be extremely important. Because I'm thinking about this. I'm trying to think about like how Oda has been handling the Yonkos. And I'm kind of iffy now. Because we're like in Endgame, and like Kaido just got cooked, and we feel like we still don't know everything about Kaido.
Nothing, damn near nothing about him.
Damn near nothing. Then we got the situation with Big Mom. Like, we kind of got something in here.
It's half-ass.
But she's like mere human. Like, what does that mean? Like, what? And then we got this whole thing about Whitebeard, but he's already dead. And I would even go as far with like the relationship with Ace and Roger. I was like, I never felt right that Ace, the son of Gold Roger, died so early on in the series. And it never really got explored to its fullest extent to me. It's interesting. I feel like some of these, maybe he's going to tie everything together, but I don't know. Kind of feeling iffy regarding a lot of these Yonko.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like he fumbled them. It looks like he's trying to do right by Shanks, but I feel like Big Mom, Kaido was a super fumble. Big Mom, there's still hope. She can come back. He can right his wrongs, but I don't really know how he's handling them, unless, like you said, he finds a way to bring it all full circle. One last question. We've been talking about Rocks for 20 minutes. I think he might be more important than Roger in the grand scheme of the story. What do you think?
Hmm. Didn't they say something about Blackbeard being a weird member of the D clan back a long time ago?
They did. They say he doesn't have the the qualities of a D clan member.
It obviously has to start with rocks. Maybe the rocks is it a weird one because the D clan is supposed to be opposing the government and opposing Emu and all that and the celestial dragons. But then we got rocks here being the weird player in all of this, and he obviously doesn't give a shit about the government either. What is his goal? Fire King stuff doesn't even exist yet.
He said he wanted to be the king of the world. That was his dream.
So we got a Rocks is a player in this game. Then we got the whole stuff with the D Clan and Joy Boy, who's a player in this game. And obviously we got the ones who run the world, Emo. Could Rocks be the only character that we've seen so far until Luffy does that actually truly put pressure on the government?
Shit. Quick theory. They might have frozen. If you remember in Impel Down, there was that frozen guy. He kind of bears a little bit of a resemblance to him. You can't see his face, but the hair is kind of very similar. Maybe he was such a great foe. They're like, let's freeze him, see if we can maybe bring him back later, help us out. Something along those lines. And that I just used that just to segue. I'll talk about those giants that were iced up. Maybe think of two things, Riddell. Could that have been a previous user of Aokiji's fruit to freeze 100 giants? And then I wanted to talk into like, and this is a little bit of a reach, but kind of theory crafting. Why does Water 7 have the same name as those legendary Elbaf shipbuilders?
Yeah, I saw that post by Prodigy in the group chat. And then I'm pretty much all there with you. I completely agree with the idea that those guys were frozen and that's them over there in that area, and that they were named the place that you're talking about from Water 7 was named after these giants, these shipbuilders. I'm curious on like the specific threat that the government believed that they were. I know maybe they're related to Pluton or inspired things for Tom to create Pluton.
Oh, I'm looking up how old Tom is because I think Tom had an interaction with these fellas in some way, shape, or form. They trusted him to kind of carry on their legacy. And what he's a fish man, they're a giant. I think there's some sort of like a accordance that those two races have with each other, some sort of connection that they have. How old is Tom in One Piece? Because he might have been if the timeline works, he might have been old enough.
Do we really know how fishmen age? Do they feel like age like normal?
That is true. He was 67 at the time of his death. Ooh, I think that works. He died a while ago. He died at least before the start of the story.
Yeah,
Because Frankie was still young. It might work out.
I'm here for it. I think it does make a lot of sense considering who they are, where they are. And then the question is like, what did they give him to inspire him to create Pluton in the first place?
Sure.
What did they say to him? Well, I don't know. I know Santo keeps on like saying this, like, okay, the Straw Hats might make the Sunny into the new Pluton. What if Pluton was a ship for the Giants? I don't know how much I like that, but it makes.
I don't mind it.
I'm just like thinking how this all kind of connects in general.
What if Pluton's not really a weapon? There's that Noah's Ark thing that was really important to the story. What if Pluton is just the Ark?
I'm willing to buy that, and that's why it's so goddamn big. And maybe, oh, hold on. What if that's the ship Harold wanted to use to bring all the species together?
I'm with you.
Hey man, I'm not mad at it.
I'm with you.
Because you need a big fucking ship. Harold wanted to bring everybody together. Giant shipwrights. Tom was the one who could do it. And the government's like, fuck, no, we don't want you to coming together. We
Yeah.
not having that. I could see it.
There would also have to be a way, because it's like, you don't just make ships for Gold Roger. I don't think that just happens. Like, you had to have made his name somehow, or at least had tutelage from somewhere, so where he became like a respected shipwright. You get what I mean? Like, they didn't just pick Frankie because Frankie was the only one that can build a ship. They, heard Frankie's backstory, learned who he was associated with, and then Frankie was allowed to be the ship and the shipwright by default. So I think it would have been an interesting idea to see him kind of corroborate with the Giants. That's where he kind of got his shipbuilding skills, and then took it to the next level and did everything he did, because he went crazy. He made a whole railroad system, Gold Roger's ship. He did a whole lot. He probably could have built Pluton had he not, met his demise. What do you think?
Before you dive into that, I think the Giants are elite because once we think about it, they had elite navigation skills, elite shipwright skills, elite combat skills, elite history skills. Bro, they are elite at everything. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect these Giants to just be good at everything.
Question for you, though. And this is where it's not making sense to me. Why is Emu and the Celestial Dragons looking for new Giants when they presumably have, well, we saw the ones in Impel Down, and then let's just, for the sake of discussion, say the shipwright Giants are different Giants that are frozen somewhere or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. If they have all of these Giants currently already captured, why do they need new Giants? Can't you just thaw out what you have?
Oh, man. Yeah, I am curious about that. Maybe it's as simple as like a lot of them are still inspired by Harold's teachings and they want to groom them out of that.
Yeah.
And it is interesting when you think about it. Like, yeah, we've seen celestial dragons enslave a bunch of different species throughout the One Piece world, like fishmen, buccaneers, stuff like that. This is the first time we've seen Emu want to enslave an entire species. So it just shows you, like, compared to every species, I think we can definitively say the Giants are the best species in One Piece.
For sure. For sure. And it seems like they're going to be the one species that's pivotal in the war. The only other species I'd put up there with them is king species, because they were referred to as gods at one point. So they somehow went extinct, but there might have been something crazy to them as well. But the Giants are cool. Do you want to do Harold and Loki, or you want to do the diplomacy stuff?
I mean, we could speed run the diplomacy stuff, to be honest. People understand that Harold's an elite king, but the conversation on who Loki is, I think, I guarantee he's starting to rise in people's rankings.
You think so?
I think I'm not just saying this chapter is going to do it, but now that they're seeing the full story of who Loki is, who Loki was, and more than likely who Loki will become, he's going to rise heavily in people's rankings.
The only pushback I'm going to give, I think part of Loki's stock is going to drop a little bit. People are too sensitive. And even though Oda's making it very clear why he's doing all of these things, people aren't going to excuse him basically being a dick. And he does become a dick because of his upbringing. Unleashing monsters on the town, bullying Hajradeen, like just being disrespectful and rude. I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to look past that, despite understanding why, he got to be like that.
Okay, interesting question. This will attach ourselves to the conversation we're having regarding Loki and Hajradeen. Other than, I guess, let's say Luffy, Sabonace, maybe even compared to those three, could Loki and Hajradin be the best brother dynamic in One Piece?
Do you think it's better than Dolphy and Corazon?
Yeah, I would say so. Because like Corazon, the entire time he didn't even see Dofi as his brother. He was just there to keep his eye on him, to ensure he doesn't go too far. And then Dofi did, and then he just killed him. And he didn't even feel remorseful. He just fucked him up. So the difference between that is like Hajradin and Loki. So what we got from this chapter is obviously they are completely different people based off how their mothers treated them. Loki's mother hated him. He would beat the baby ruthlessly. That's why he had a bunch of scrapes. She created a whole curse to make people hate Loki, all that stuff. Hajradin was loved, even though they were still ostracized from the rest, most of the village. Loved by the mother, really cared for by the mother. And that situation kind of dictated who they would become. Hajradin cared more about people. Loki does not love anybody, ostracize everybody, but wanted to be loved. And Loki became the super strong individual who was hollow inside. Hajradin not so much and had this kind of weird grudge. And we're going to see how all that grudge kind of manifested, I'm sure, in next chapter. But I think the goal of this arc between these two is Hajradin being that person to love Loki. That is going to be the goal for this story. Loki is super powerful. He's obviously a very unique individual. Sure. Hajradin, more than likely, is going to be the king of the giants if they needed a king. Because he's like Harold. Loki okay, this is the perfect way
to hating, but I agree with you. I'm hating though.
Oh no, that's fine. This is the perfect way to think about it. Hajradin has Harold's personality. Yep. Loki has Harold's power.
Co-kings?
They need to be with each other to be in charge of the strongest species we've seen in One Piece. So yeah, I can see their brother dynamic being the best in One Piece.
Naruto and Sasuke. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I like not all the way, but you get what I'm saying. I like that.
100%.
I like that a lot. I hate Hajradin, but I like that. I like that. Are they the best? They're probably the best then. They're probably the best dynamic.
Even though I really like Luffy and Sabo, because obviously Luffy and Ace had to cut it short, they might end up being the best, I'm gonna be honest.
Because my thing with Luffy and Sabo, other than the happy moment and the childhood stuff, we don't have a lot of like them really like crazy interactions, you know? This is a lot of interacting for Loki and Hajradin.
Yeah. I'm sure the next time we see him might either be have to do with Dragon or Akainu, but no, I'm with you. Shout out. Did not expect Hajradin to be this important, by the way.
Last thing for them, I still think Hajradin is a selfish prick, though. Do I? I don't know, man. These brothers are so complicated. I was hating on Hajradin before, but now I kind of understand where he's coming from. But Loki's life is also shit, so I understand where he's coming from. Maybe that is a sign of a good dynamic. Both of them join the crew. Fuck it. I don't want y'all to stay in Elbath. I want them to stick around. Come to the crew. Both of y'all. We need y'all both on the ship. Two giants.
Hey, man. They gotta build a way bigger ship if they're gonna bring both of them.
So my thing is, do you think they're gonna have a conflict with each other that's brought to the head? Or do you think the next time they really have a dispute is like over the Herald stuff?
That's an interesting question, because I could see a situation where Hajradin has to maybe convince Loki not to do something.
Sure.
It's possible. Because this is a situation where, yeah, Luffy usually is the person to do it, but right now I think Hajradin needs to be the person to do it.
Yeah.
And we're still assuming that Loki has some type of devil fruit. So maybe that plays into it as well. Maybe it's a situation where Loki is about to take out a giant because he thinks it could be as simple as, okay, Emu turned one of the giants, and then Loki maybe tries to take him out, and Hajradin says, no, I can't let you do this.
I would.
Or it could be a situation where I guess maybe they make up and then Hadrian's turn evil and Loki has to decide whether or not he wants to kill his brother. There's a lot of different things you can do here. Or maybe it's something like, okay, all right. Philosophical question for you, Miles.
Okay.
A situation, the big prize here is the kids for the Giants. That's the prize. That's what Emu wants. Yeah. Emu wants the kids. They're about to leave with the kids. And Loki says, we can't allow that to happen. And he said he's going to attack them, potentially killing all the giant kids so they don't get them. And Hadrian stops them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would like that. I would like it for both characters because it would Hadrian able to stick up for himself even though he might not be strong enough. And then Loki, I would dislike him as a character, but I would understand that he's willing to do whatever it takes. That's how pragmatic he is. He'll do whatever. And poor kids. But that would be wild. That'd be crazy.
That would be wild.
How do you think Luffy would react to that? Luffy wouldn't stand for that shit.
Luffy needs to be somewhere else. I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to Loki, it needs to just be Hadrian and Loki. Luffy would not allow it for sure.
Quick tangent. Luffy's an enabler, dog. Like, he wants this guy to join the crew so bad, he's not addressing any of the shit that, like, he's done or said or anything. He's just, oh, let this guy join my crew. He's not listening to anybody.
We've had this conversation before. If we really think about who Luffy is not a hero, really.
No.
Because he will only save you if he cares about you. The difference between Luffy and like Harold is Harold wants peace around the world. Luffy, if he happens to go to your island and he likes you, then he will save you. So Luffy's an interesting character. That's why I always question, how is Luffy going to be like the hero of the story? Like, will he finally lock in and realize that I have to save the world? Does he even care about saving the world? He kind of doesn't. I don't know how they're going to solve that.
Unless the One Piece like explicitly tells him he's the savior because he has, X fruit or whatever. I don't see him ever being that hero type of guy. I don't see it. Maybe his crew like guides him that direction like they've always done. They just point their gun basically, but I don't know. Diplomacy and wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah, Harold do some good things.
Harold and Hemothy. I was hating on the diplomacy. I found it boring, but I get what they were doing. I touched on it in the live. They're just showing us like his progress, his steps towards changing his country within. And it's kind of like hypocritical of me to like, I was complaining last review that he switched his ideals so fast, and now I'm getting all the work and I'm hating on it. So I'm gonna give him grace. He's doing his thing. And throughout all of the calamity that they're kind of facing, he comes back. Like during the live, I couldn't really like see what was happening in the chapters. Kind of read and do things at the same time. He brought a whole host of ships with food, resources, a whole bunch of shit. So it's really, really paying off. This is not some naive gamble. Like he's seeing numbers. He's seeing growth. How do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, I kind of said in the live, I think we may have to have a conversation that he's the best king One Piece has produced so far. He has done so much in this story for his people, and he's had so much impact on the world that it's interesting that when you think about the totality of One Piece, it's kind of crazy we haven't heard more about Harold.
Yeah. For a reason that might be, though.
True.
And Ja Rule actually touches on that in the chapter, and he's like, you're doing all of this stuff, and you're wondering why, like, sometimes there's failings or, stuff is not working. He's like, it might not be all on you. There might actually be a greater force at play. that's kind of getting in the way of things. And when he brought up those shipbuilders, that was his kind of basis for that fact. It's probably the government. I don't know. But, bro, it's okay if you fail. They're trying to make you fail on purpose, you know?
Yeah. And in this conversation with Jarul, while they're kind of talking about all that stuff, kind of rereading it, I'm curious if the officials will change it, saying that if the murder hadn't happened, I might have been exposed. And obviously, Rox is looking for Harold.
You owe me.
That could be it.
I didn't catch that, Riddell. Yeah. That makes... We're back at Rox again. But why would he really help Harold just for a death? You know what I mean?
The greatest species and potentially the best king in the world might be a debt that you want to have. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I might have been. I'm trying to think. I doubt it's that simple, but there's obviously an interesting connection between the two. So we'll see how everything kind of plays out between Rox and Harold. I guess the last thing, because we don't have to go through all the nitty gritty between what he's been doing, but he obviously been doing a lot of good stuff.
Yep.
We kind of touched upon it with the potential fumble regarding Yonkos. Hopefully this is not it. Like saying that she's a mere human took out Jarul's partner in like 2 panels, and that she became Big Mom. Also, 2 Emperor mentions in 1 chapter, by the way. But hopefully that's not it. 1, how the hell is she a mere human? And 2, why is she an Elbath?
And then they're tying that to the curse. And how sorry were these giants that Big Mom as a child beat them, though? I thought Ja Rule and his partner were supposed to be legendary. They got taken down by Kid Big Mom. That's kind of wild.
I feel like more... Okay, I bet this is what's probably going to happen next chapter, is that Rox is going to learn about Big Mom and then go look for her and then have her join his crew from this story. But we better need... like
That's a good catch. He was probably the only person that could rein in all of that bullshit she got going on.
And obviously, she looks very different when she was in Rox crew. Very different. Big Mom power. She gotta look like a baddie. I'm not gonna
Here
lie.
Riddell go. Rox was in the cut. I knew I was right picking her up on the squad. Yes.
I mean, yeah, Stussy, even though we didn't get much about Stussy, that down viewpoint.
Slight tangent. He got a couple baddies on that shit. In the anime episode, there was 2 baddies, Stussy being one of them, and then the one from Amazon Lily, Boa's Kingdom, they were fighting over Whitebeard. So Rox look, he had that emotion for real. I got the heavy hitters, I got the baddies. He had it all, man.
And they're all dripped out. Like Whitebeard got it on. Stussy's fit looks fire. Even Shiki looking like a samurai. Is he from Wano? That's the question. And then Rox obviously got that drip.
Is Shiki from Wano? I never thought about that, but yeah, that is a very Wano style garb he got on. Man. I just thought of something too.
What?
Rock's home base was Hachinoso. Blackbeard took Hachinoso. He's doing all his father's shit.
Unless our theory about him being in Blackbeard is true, then he's just doing his own shit.
This is a good chapter. 1 out of 10. How you feeling?
Oh yeah, for sure. Very, very good chapter. And the last thing I'll say about Blackbeard and Rox, Blackbeard's crew is cool. Blackbeard's crew is very capable. Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, he needs to get his father scouting, because there's levels to this. He don't got his father's scouting ability, because Rox's crew.
Don't underestimate the Blackbeard pirates.
I won't underestimate the. I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, which one other than, let's say, what's his Lafitte? What's his name?
Lafitte.
Other than him, are they really which one moves you?
Augur,
I'm trying to remember who Augur is.
the sniper.
The sniper who destroyed the cracker soldiers and people were crashing out. It was like, yo, this is not okay. Okay. But you think they're gonna be like real players in terms of like fighting some strong opponents?
Yeah. Or they have such a unique set of skills where they could at least cause chaos and create advantages that way. Like we still have Katarina Devon, who's going to eventually turn into Saturn. Like combat ability aside, that'll create an opportunity for the squad, I'm sure. I like Burgess. Wee! I fuck with my
Burgess. Burgess. Oh no, I'm not. I
Fuck
don't
with Burgess. When my boy Sabo cracked his face and he got back up, he's a tough dude. He's annoying. He's tough. He's like a Draymond Green. He's a glue guy. I fuck with Burgess. I like Augur. I think Shiryu, like his fights are gonna work differently because he's like stealthy, but he'll cause problems. He caused problems for Gart, so I'm sure he'll cause some problems. And I think Doc Q will cause a lot of problems too with the sickness fruit.
Yeah, I think they're capable for sure. I think they're a threat. I'm just
I think
comparing.
They beat the Straw Hats. We're clear on that, right?
When did they fight the Straw Hats?
I'm asking you. They beat them.
Would they beat the Straw Hats? In total, yeah. I don't have to think about that. In total, yeah, because there's like the Straw Hats are top heavy. Like the Blackbeard crew is way more well rounded, like by far.
And they all have like legends and like stories about them too. They're not just run of the mill regular people either. I think they'll be worth the wait.
They're all like level 7 inmates or something like
that. The lowest floor. Their history was erased by the government. They gotta be.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we'll see, because we got to compare that to Rox's scouting, and then also his drip.
Nah, Rox is too strong. Like, it's easy to scout when you're just that strong, bro. That crew is crazy.
Yeah.
Kaido in the future. Like, damn.
Kaido, Whitebeard, Big Mom.
Golden State.
Stussy.
Golden State.
Fuck.
Jesus. You got an all-star team. What the hell?
Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, Harold, join my crew. It's like,
shit, imagine.
Well, it's like, bro, I gotta be king.
I think that's all we got for y'all for now. Let us know what you think. Shared a couple theories here. Got a couple payoffs. A couple questions to leave y'all with in the comments. Do y'all think Buggy is still related to Rox? Because that's a big point of contention. Or do you think that theory is dead in the water? What do y'all think about Rox beating an admiral? Do y'all think it was somebody like a Green Bull, somebody whack? Or do y'all think it was like an Aokiji, Kizaru, a Kainu type of ordeal? And then what do y'all think, or how do y'all feel about Rox being at the Reverie? Do y'all think he just walked in? Y'all think he was a king? Let us know what y'all think, and we'll see y'all next time. I forgot to say peace. Peace. Keep that in, Riddell. Don't edit it. Keep all mistakes. Let me take the outro out.